President. I just want to say that for those who don't know what PCBs are, they're contaminants inside of caulking, inside of the windows, inside of doors in our school system. In 1979, Congress banned the using caulking with PCBs in them. And despite the call of parents, educators, elected officials, and community leaders, and despite the fact that there has been a number of schools, like was said earlier, that where PCBs were found, it is amazing how the DOE refuses to do anything about that in terms of cleaning up. And we know that PCBs can cause an adverse effect. The DOE would say, well, it costs too much money to clean up the schools. We know that it could create an adverse effect to the brain, to the immune system, to the hormonal system, and ultimately, if we don't address this now, in the long run, the city, the state, and the federal government will wind up paying more in terms of special education needs, in terms of healthcare needs, because our kids will be exposed to these PCBs. So in the long run, we're urging the city of New York that to do something now, or you're gonna wind up paying more with other problems that will arise. If the DOE does not pay attention to us, and we also, what's frustrating is that we also have found that the EPA has not been as responsive and as responsible as we want them, and they haven't been there to look and to force DOE to comply with this federal mandate of cleanups. But if they don't comply, if DOE doesn't comply, we have with us the New York Lawyers for Public Interest and also parents who have joined on the lawsuit, and Ms. Miranda Massie from the New York Lawyers for Public Interest are going to tell us a little bit about not only the technical stuff of PCBs, but also what they're doing legally. Legalmente, nosotros estamos diciendo al Departamento de Educación que si ellos no limpian nuestras escuelas, ya que muchos de nuestros padres, muchos de nuestros administradores principales, personas educativas en el sistema de educación, políticos, le han llamado al Departamento de Educación y a la Ciudad de Nueva York que limpien nuestras escuelas. Si ellos no lo quieren hacer, entonces nosotros colectivamente vamos a tomar medidas legalmente para forzar al Departamento de Educación que limpie nuestras escuelas. Con nosotros tenemos a la señora Miranda Massie del Departamento de Abogados del Interés del Público, que está aquí con nosotros a hablar sobre esas medidas.
Hello everyone, my name is Miranda Massie. I'm a senior staff attorney in the Environmental Justice Group at New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. I'll speak briefly and then I'll introduce some community leaders, including parents whose children attend dangerously contaminated schools. But the first thing I want to do is to thank from the bottom of our hearts the Borough President for making this stand and for providing this leadership. We only wish that other officials in this city had stepped forward in the same way to protect children's health, and we cannot thank you enough. More than a year has passed since we learned that a large but indeterminate number of New York City schools are dangerously contaminated with PCBs. We know that PCBs threaten the health of children's developing brains and their developing immune systems. It is way past time for the Department of Education to take action on this matter, to test schools and to clean up the schools that are contaminated with PCBs. The time has come and gone, and if we don't see action soon, we will be compelled to file a lawsuit on behalf of parents to force the Department of Education's hand on this matter. PCBs pose serious risk to children's health. This is not a question to sit around on for more than a year. I'm now going to introduce Vincenty, who's a leader of Quedamos, a community organization based in the Bronx. They too have stepped forward to support parents in their quest to ensure a safe school environment for children.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the from the South Bronx, and I just want to say that I think it's a disgrace, that this was done over a year ago, all of this testing, and that the schools, the Board of Education knows exactly what's going on, and that they're doing absolutely nothing. How much longer is it going to take before somebody wakes up and smells the coffee and stops using our children as guinea pigs? Because in reality, that's exactly what it is. It'll be our children who'll be sick, and then it's going to cost the city a hell of a lot more money in order to be able to cure the sickness that they may be able to avoid if they took care of business now. I am standing here before you, and unfortunately, I am representing a whole community that cannot be here today who wanted to be here. So I thank you all for being here, for listening, and let's please help us fight the fight so that we don't have to sue the city, so that we can do what we need to do, and that the Board of Education does what is right for our children, because our children deserve to have a better future. Thank you. Con el permiso, voy a decir esto también en español, ya que me lo pidieron. Yo lo que quiero decir que da muchísima pena que el Departamento de Educación no está cogiendo esto en la forma que lo deben de coger y deben de dejar de estar usando nuestros hijos como si ellos fueran formas para ellos poder hacer lo que ellos hacen. Es tiempo que nosotros toditos luchemos para que podamos poder ganar esta cosa que tenemos que ganar, y tenemos que ayudar a nuestros hijos. Y perdonen para aquellos que no le hablé muy bien el español, pero gracias, y una vez más le agradezco que por favor nos ayuden a nosotros a pelear esta batalla. Gracias.
Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce Tyrone Jenkins, the parent of a third-grade son at one of the contaminated schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tyrone Jenkins, and I have a 9-year-old son who goes to PS 160 in the Bronx. And I stand here before you today pretty much in a way of pleading from a standpoint of asking for help from community leaders, elected officials, and also the parents who stood beside me at one point in time trying to get answers to this situation that had me very frightened when it was brought to my attention. I would like to say that throughout this ordeal, for almost a year now, like Ms. Miranda Massie has stated, the Department of Education has been providing my immediate community with a lot of false information. They've been pretty much redirecting us to areas and people who had no relevant knowledge of this matter. In light of that, I was compelled to go and do my own research. And in doing so, again, I was pushed to a point where it became a very frightening matter for not only my son, but for also the children who go to school with him, and those who also go to school in the Bronx schools that are also contaminated. I would like to thank Mr. Ruben Diaz and Mr. Greene for pretty much spearheading this movement. Their leadership is definitely well needed. Again, we also need more elected officials to come on board and pretty much take part in this very, very serious matter. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out and hearing me speak, and hopefully you guys understand that, again, I'm here on behalf of not only myself, but for an enormous amount of parents who are definitely at a point of being confused, being frightened, and we need the community's help. And again, I want to thank Mr. Ruben Diaz and Mr. Greene for being there for us. Thank you.